The fluorescent lights of Romano's cafe flickered as Evelyn pulled another espresso shot at 4:30 a.m. Her hands trembled with exhaustion, dark circles carved beneath her eyes like bruises. 23 years old and already running on empty. "You're slow today, Carter." Marcus Romano's voice cut through the steam hiss, sharp and deliberate. He wasn't the owner, but he ran the place like his personal kingdom, and everyone knew the Romano family had connections extending far beyond coffee. Evelyn didn't respond. Silence was safer. The tuition deadline haunted her. Tomorrow at 5 p.m., $8,400. Her bank account mocked her with $237. "I said you're slow." Marcus stepped closer, expensive cologne mixing with cigarette smoke and entitled anger. "I heard you. The morning rush just started. Are you talking back to me?" The cafe went silent. Other workers suddenly found reasons to avoid eye contact. The door chimed. Mrs. Chen shuffled in, 82 and arthritic, fumbling with her coin purse. It slipped, coins scattering like metallic rain. The old woman's face crumpled with embarrassment. Evelyn was on her knees gathering coins before Marcus could speak. "It's okay, Mrs. Chen. I've got it." "I'm so sorry, dear. My hands aren't what they used to be. You brighten my morning every time you come in." Evelyn counted the coins, preparing the order with care. When Mrs. Chen left with a grateful smile, Marcus was in her face. What the hell was that? Customer service? That was insubordination. You're a coffee girl, Carter. A nobody who thinks she's special because she's slumming through med school. You think you're better than this place? Better than me? 2 years of his cruelty crystallized into clarity. I think anyone who treats people with basic decency is better than someone who belittles others. Mrs. Chen deserved kindness. If you can't see that, maybe you don't belong in customer service. Marcus's face purpled. Phones appeared, recording. "You're fired. Get out, now." Evelyn untied her apron with steady hands, though inside she was screaming. "It's not your cafe, Marcus. It's your uncle's. I hope he learns why you really fired me." She made it 2 blocks before collapsing in an alley, sliding down brick until cold concrete pressed against her. The sobs came deep, rib-cracking, endless. $8,400. Due tomorrow. No job. Her father worked 3 jobs already. Her mother cleaned houses until her hands bled. They had nothing left. Medical school. Everything she'd sacrificed. 3 months from graduation, and it was dying because she'd shown kindness. Evelyn pulled out her phone, vision blurred. She scrolled to Dad, heartbreaking. How could she tell William Carter, who'd given everything, that it was over? Through tears, she typed, fingers shaking. She didn't notice the missing digit, didn't notice she'd selected a wrong number she'd meant to delete. "Dad, I don't know what to do. I just lost my job because I stood up to my manager when he was cruel to an elderly customer. The tuition deadline is tomorrow at 5 p.m., $8,400. I only have $237. I know you and Mom have given everything. I hate myself for telling you this, but my dreams are dying, and I'm scared. Everything we sacrificed will be for nothing. I've tried everywhere. Financial aid, emergency loans, everything. There's nothing left. I'm so sorry for failing you. I'm sorry for being such a burden. I just needed to tell someone who loves me that I tried my best. I love you, Dad. I'm so sorry." She pressed send, burying her face in her hands. The message traveled across the city to a mahogany desk in a penthouse 3,000 feet above street level. 3 miles away, 42 floors up, Anthony Russo stood at floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Lake Michigan, scotch forgotten in his hand. At 34, he commanded an empire from Chicago to New York, legitimate businesses and operations in shadows most never saw. The Russo name meant power, fear, obedience. Tonight, none of it mattered. His consigliere Marco had left an hour ago with warnings about Moretti family moves. Anthony had made appropriate decisions, ordered necessary responses, all automatic, all meaningless. He was so goddamn tired of the violence, the calculation, the endless chess game, tired of women who wanted his money, power, or name. Never him. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Dad, I don't know what to do. Anthony almost deleted it. Wrong number. Not his problem. But he opened it anyway. By the second sentence, his breath caught. By the end, something dead inside him stirred painfully. He read it 3 times. This wasn't manipulation or strategy. This was raw, desperate honesty. A woman watching her dreams die, pouring her heart out. The pain was palpable, radiating from his screen. Everything we sacrificed will be for nothing. When had anyone sacrificed anything for him? I just needed to tell someone who loves me that I tried my best. Anthony's jaw tightened. Somewhere in this city, a woman was crying because she'd stood up for what was right and lost everything. While he sat in his glass castle, surrounded by wealth that could solve her problem with pocket change, he pulled up his banking app before overthinking, found her number, initiated a wire transfer. $8,400. Less than his last suit cost. But to her, everything. His finger hovered over confirm. This was insane. His lawyers would commit him. Marco would question his judgment. But Anthony had built his empire on instinct, and his instincts screamed this mattered. He pressed confirm. The transfer went through instantly. Somewhere, Evelyn Carter's phone would light up with salvation. And Anthony felt something foreign, satisfaction unrelated to power or profit. He'd given someone hope simply because he could. He saved her number, telling himself it was just to track the transaction, that he'd never use it again. But deep in his chest, something had awakened. Something that wanted to know more about the woman who wrote with such raw honesty it cracked his walls. Anthony stared at the city lights, and for the first time in years, he wanted to know what happened next. For the first time in years, Anthony Russo was curious about another human being. That curiosity was about to change everything. Evelyn didn't sleep. She sat on her apartment floor until dawn broke through the thin curtains, her phone clutched in her hand like a lifeline. Her younger sister Maya slept soundly in the next room, blissfully unaware that their family's dreams were crumbling. At 6:47 a.m., her phone buzzed with a banking notification. Evelyn almost ignored it, probably another low-balance warning. But something made her look. Her heart stopped. Deposit, 8,400 trellin. Posted, 11:47 p.m. She blinked hard. Certain exhaustion was creating hallucinations. Closed the app. Reopened it. The number remained, glowing like a miracle she didn't deserve. "Oh my God," she whispered, then louder, "Oh my God." She stumbled to her parents' bedroom, found her father already dressed for his delivery shift. "Daddy, thank you. I can't believe you found the money. What did you—" William Carter's weathered face creased with confusion. "Baby girl, slow down. What money?" "The tuition payment. You sent me $8,400 last night." Her father took her phone, stared at the screen. "Evelyn, I didn't send this. I don't even know how to transfer that much. And honey, we don't have this money." Ice water through her veins. Then who? With growing dread, she opened her messages. Scrolled to last night's conversation. The number was wrong. She'd sent her desperate, heartbroken confession to a complete stranger. "No, no, 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 no." Evelyn sank onto the couch, hands shaking. "Some stranger just sent me $8,400 because they thought I was asking them for help. We have to return it immediately," William said, his voice grave. Evelyn knew he was right, even as the words felt like swallowing glass. Returning the money meant watching her dreams die again. But keeping money that wasn't hers? Her parents had raised her better. With trembling fingers, she initiated the return transfer, then typed what felt like the most mortifying message of her life. "I am so incredibly sorry. I cannot express how embarrassed and horrified I am. Last night I was trying to text my father about my situation, but in my distress, I sent it to your number by mistake. I have immediately returned your money. I never meant to bother a stranger or ask for help. Thank you for your incredible kindness, but I cannot accept money that isn't meant for me. Again, I am so very sorry for disturbing you. Please forgive my mistake." She read it 3 times, making sure it conveyed humility without seeming like she was fishing for the money back. Finally, she hit send and put her phone face down, too mortified to look at it. "You did the right thing," William said, arm around her shoulders. Evelyn nodded, not trusting her voice. She was right back where she started. Worse, actually. Now she'd humiliated herself in front of a stranger who'd only tried to help. 3 miles away, Anthony was having his first peaceful morning in months. He'd slept better than he had in weeks, waking with unfamiliar anticipation. The memory of his impulsive gesture made him feel more alive than any business deal ever had. He was reviewing reports over coffee when his phone chimed. Banking notification. Evelyn Carter had returned his money. Every penny. Anthony stared in disbelief. In his world, money flowed in one direction, toward him. People asked for investments, loans, handouts. No one ever returned money he'd freely given. Then came her message. He read it once, then immediately again. The tone was so different from her first message. Formal where the other had been raw. Apologetic where the other had been desperate. But underneath the careful politeness, he sensed the same genuine heart that had moved him. She'd returned money she desperately needed because she believed it was right. In a world where people would betray family for stock options, Evelyn Carter had given back a fortune because it wasn't rightfully hers. Anthony found himself smiling for the first time in weeks. He began typing carefully. Please don't apologize. Your message last night was the most genuine thing I've read in years. I sent that money because I wanted to help someone who clearly deserved it, not because I was obligated to. Mistakes happen, but your character shines through in how you've handled this. Keep the money. When you're able, pay it forward to someone else who needs help. Focus on your dreams for now. He paused, then added something he hadn't shared with anyone in years. Also, I was lost once too. I know how it feels to have no one believe in you. Sometimes we all need someone to believe in us when we can't believe in ourselves. Anthony hit send before second-guessing. He'd revealed more in those sentences than he had to anyone in years. Something about Evelyn's honesty had unlocked a part of him he'd thought was permanently sealed. Marco knocked on his office door 20 minutes later. We have a problem. The Moretti shipment. Handle it, Anthony said, eyes on his phone. Marco's eyebrows rose. Boss, this needs your... I said handle it. Anthony's voice carried an edge that made Marco step back. Unless someone's bleeding or dead, I don't want to hear about it for the next hour. Marco left, confusion written across his face. In 15 years, he'd never seen Anthony Russo distracted by anything except business. Evelyn's phone buzzed while she was helping her mother prepare breakfast, trying to act normal despite her world crumbling. She glanced reluctantly, expecting maybe a formal acknowledgement. Instead, she found something that made her breath catch. Mom, you need to read this. Grace Carter dried her hands and read over her daughter's shoulder. By the end, both women had tears streaming. He wants you to keep it, Grace whispered, but I can't accept charity from a stranger. Baby, her mother said gently. Sometimes angels come in unexpected forms. This person isn't asking for anything in return. They just want to help you achieve your dreams. Evelyn read the message again, focusing on the last part. I was lost once too. I know how it feels to have no one believe in you. Whoever this person was, they understood pain, understood what it felt like to be alone and struggling. And somehow, through her desperate mistake, she'd connected with someone who wanted to help simply because they could. For the first time since yesterday's disaster, Evelyn felt something besides despair. She felt hope and curiosity. Who was this mysterious person who'd shown such incredible kindness? She began typing, heart pounding. I don't know what to say except thank you. Your kindness means more than you'll ever know. Not just the money, but your words. It's been a long time since someone told me they believed in me. I promise I'll pay it forward when I'm able. And someday, when I'm Dr. Evelyn Carter, I'll make sure your faith in me wasn't misplaced. She hesitated, then added, Can I ask your name? I'd like to know who my guardian angel is. This time, Evelyn didn't put her phone face down. She held it, staring at the screen, waiting for a response from the stranger changing her life. And for the first time since this nightmare began, she found herself genuinely curious about what would happen next. The response came faster than expected. My name is Anthony, and you're going to be an incredible doctor, Evelyn. I can feel it. Evelyn stared at the simple message, but something about it made her pulse quicken inexplicably. Just her name from his fingers felt intimate somehow. She found herself wondering what his voice sounded like. What kind of person chose to help a stranger without expecting anything in return? What kind of life had he lived that made him understand her pain so completely? Anthony, she typed back, testing his name. Thank you for believing in me. Can I ask what you do? I feel like I should know something about the person who saved my dreams. The response took longer this time, and Evelyn checked her phone every few minutes with an eagerness that surprised her. I work in security and investments. Nothing as meaningful as medicine. What made you want to become a doctor? Evelyn smiled at the deflection. Anthony seemed as reluctant to discuss himself as he was generous with others, and so they began talking. Really talking, in a way Evelyn hadn't experienced in years. What she didn't know was that Anthony was sitting in his office, ignoring Marco's increasingly urgent texts about territory disputes, completely absorbed in conversation with a woman he'd never met. What she didn't know was that Anthony Russo wasn't in security. He ran it, enforced it, controlled it through methods that would horrify her. What she didn't know was that the guardian angel who'd saved her dreams had blood on his hands that no amount of generosity could wash clean. But for now, in the safety of text messages and careful omissions, they were just two lonely people who'd found each other by accident, or maybe by fate, and neither could stop, even if they wanted to. Anthony stared at his phone for the third time in 10 minutes, Marco's voice fading to background noise during their strategy meeting about the Moretti family's latest move on their Southside operations. When I was 12, my grandmother had a stroke, Evelyn had written. The doctor who treated her was this amazing woman, Dr. Lopez. She was brilliant and kind, and she held my hand while explaining everything in words I could understand. She saved my grandmother's life, but more than that, she made me feel less scared. I want to be that person for someone else's family. Something twisted in Anthony's chest. He'd never had that. Never had someone hold his hand through fear. His father had taught him that fear was weakness, and weakness got you killed. Boss, are you even listening? Marco's irritation broke through. Anthony's head snapped up, his expression hardening instantly. The Moretti shipment arrives Thursday at Pier 17. We intercept it, send a message. What else is there to discuss? The fact that you've checked your phone 15 times in the last hour. Marco leaned back, studying Anthony with the familiarity of 15 years together. Who is she? Excuse me? You've got that look. Never seen it before, but I know what it means. Anthony's jaw tightened. Focus on the Morettis. That's all you need to worry about. After Marco left, Anthony pulled up the background check he'd ordered on Evelyn Carter. The file was disappointingly clean. No criminal record, not even a parking ticket. Father, William Carter, 3 jobs, spotless record. Mother, Grace Carter, home health aide, active in her church. Younger sister, Maya, high school honor student. They were exactly what they appeared to be, a struggling family doing everything right, sacrificing everything for a daughter's dream. Anthony had grown up surrounded by lies, manipulation, and calculated moves. Everyone wanted something. Everyone had an angle. Evelyn Carter's only angle was survival, and even that she'd tried to do honestly by returning his money. His phone buzzed. What gives you that sense of purpose? What makes you feel alive? Anthony stared at the question for a long moment. How could he answer honestly? Consolidating territory? Eliminating threats? Building an empire on fear and respect? Instead, he typed, honestly, until recently I would have said nothing. I've been going through the motions for so long I'd forgotten what excitement felt like. But talking to you reminds me there are still good people in the world doing meaningful work. It wasn't entirely a lie, just an incomplete truth. You're good people too, Anthony, she responded. You changed my entire life because you saw someone in pain and decided to help. That says everything about who you are. Anthony's phone buzzed again before he could respond. Marco, with a location ping. The Moretti situation required immediate attention. 40 minutes later, Anthony stood in a warehouse on the docks, looking down at 2 men tied to chairs. They'd been caught trying to move product through Russo territory without permission. A direct challenge. "Please, Mr. Russo," one of them begged. "We didn't know it was your territory. The Morettis told us." "The Morettis don't give orders in my city." Anthony's voice was calm, almost gentle. That's what made it terrifying. Marco handed him a gun. "Standard procedure. Send the bodies back with a message. This is what happens when you disrespect the Russo family." Anthony raised the weapon, and his phone buzzed in his pocket. "I had the most amazing class today. We learned about cardiac physiology, how the heart keeps beating even when everything else fails. Isn't that beautiful? The heart refuses to give up." He pulled the trigger twice. The sound echoed in the warehouse. The bodies slumped. Anthony holstered the gun, pulled out his phone with the same hands, and typed, "That is beautiful. You make everything sound beautiful. It's a gift." "Clean this up," he told Marco. "Make sure the Morettis get the message." In his car, Anthony stared at his phone, at the contrast between the warmth of Evelyn's messages and the coldness required by his world. Blood on his hands, literal and metaphorical, and he was texting a medical student about the beauty of the human heart. What the hell was he doing? "What makes you feel that way?" she'd asked. "What gives you that sense of purpose?" He should end this, block her number, go back to his life of calculated violence and emotional emptiness. It was safer, cleaner. She deserved better than a man who killed as easily as breathing. But instead he typed, "You do. Talking to you makes me feel human again." And that, more than anything he'd ever done, terrified him. Over the next 2 weeks, their texts became constant. Evelyn would message between classes, sharing thoughts on healthcare policy or funny stories about cadaver lab. Anthony would respond between meetings, carefully editing out the violence that marked his days. "Do you ever feel guilty about your success?" Evelyn asked one evening. "Like maybe you don't deserve it when other people struggle so much?" Anthony stared at the question. Guilty? He felt guilty about plenty. The lives he'd taken, the fear he'd cultivated, the darkness he'd spread. But success? Every day, he admitted. "I inherited most of my opportunities. You've earned every single one of yours. But you could have been entitled and selfish with those opportunities. Instead, you help people like me. That's a choice, not an accident." Anthony leaned back in his office chair, something warm spreading through his chest. She had no idea what he was, what he did, the empire built on broken bones and blood money. And yet, she saw something good in him. Maybe it was still there. Maybe helping her wasn't just impulse, but proof that he hadn't completely lost himself to the monster his father had groomed him to become. His office door burst open. Marco, face grim. "We have a problem, big one." Anthony pocketed his phone. "Talk." "Feds executed a warrant on the Moretti's downtown operation. Seized everything. Books, computers, product. They're building a RICO case." "Against the Moretti's?" "Against everyone, us included. They're calling it Operation Family Ties. They want to take down every organization in Chicago." Anthony's mind shifted instantly into strategic mode. "What's our exposure?" "Minimal on paper. But boss, they've got a task force. They're looking at associates, girlfriends, anyone connected." The implication hung heavy. Anyone connected to him would become a target. Anyone like a medical student he'd been texting for 2 weeks. "Run background checks on everyone in my contact list," Anthony ordered. "Find vulnerabilities before they do, and increase security on all family operations." After Marco left, Anthony stared at his phone. The smart play was obvious. Cut contact with Evelyn. Protect her by keeping her out of his world. But when her next message came through, "Tell me something true about yourself. Something you don't tell anyone else." Anthony found himself typing, "I'm terrified that the best parts of me died a long time ago, and I'm just pretending to be human. Until I met you. You make me want to be real again." He hit send before he could stop himself. Her response came quickly. "You are real, Anthony. I can feel it in every word you write. Don't let anyone make you forget that." Anthony closed his eyes. She believed in a version of him that didn't exist. A good man who helped strangers. Not a killer who ran an empire built on fear. But God help him. He wanted to be that man. The man she thought she was talking to, even if it meant living a lie, even if it meant she could never know the truth. His phone buzzed with another message. When can we meet? I want to know the man behind these words. Anthony stared at the question, torn between desperate want and cold logic. Meeting her would change everything. She'd see him, and he'd see her, and this careful fiction they'd built would collide with reality. But he was already typing, soon, very soon, I promise. Because monsters don't get redemption, but maybe they get moments. And Evelyn Carter was his. The cafe Evelyn chose was in Lincoln Park, a neighborhood of tree-lined streets far from the South Side territories where Anthony conducted most of his business. Neutral ground, though she didn't know that's what she'd selected. Anthony arrived 20 minutes early, parking 2 blocks away. Marco had argued against this meeting, called it reckless. Anthony had told him to stay in the car and keep quiet. His phone buzzed. I'm here. Nervous. Is that crazy? Not crazy, he typed back. I'm nervous too. He stepped out of the shadows. The cafe was warm, filled with coffee and cinnamon scents. Anthony scanned the room. Exits, threats, civilians. Then his eyes found her. Evelyn sat by the window, sunlight catching the warm undertones in her dark brown skin. She wore a simple green dress, her natural curls framing a face both nervous and radiant. When their eyes met, Anthony forgot how to breathe. She was beautiful, real beautiful, the kind that came from the inside out. Evelyn's breath caught when she saw him. Tall, maybe 6'2", moving with a predator's grace in an expensive charcoal suit. Dark hair, slate-gray eyes that seemed to see everything, and a face both beautiful and dangerous. There was something about him that made people glance away, the nearly invisible scar along his jaw, the expensive watch. But it was his eyes that captured her. They softened when they met hers, revealing vulnerability beneath the commanding exterior. Evelyn. His voice was deep, smooth, with an edge that sent shivers down her spine. Anthony. For several heartbeats they just stood there, electricity between them almost visible. Then Anthony smiled. A real smile that transformed his face from intimidating to devastating. May I? He gestured to the chair. Please. He sat with controlled grace, and Evelyn found herself cataloging details. The way his suit jacket pulled across broad shoulders, the careful way he placed his phone face down, giving her full attention. You're staring, Anthony said, amusement flickering. You're different than I expected. Disappointed. Terrified. Anthony's expression shifted to concern. Of me? Of how much I already like you. The honesty slipped out. I've been talking to you for 3 weeks, and I thought I knew what to expect. But seeing you, you're real. This is real. That's terrifying. Anthony reached across the table, stopping just short of touching her hand. May I? Evelyn nodded, and when his fingers brushed hers, electricity shot up her arm. His hand was warm, strong, surprisingly gentle. I'm terrified too, Anthony admitted, hoping I wouldn't disappoint you. Impossible. Evelyn's voice was barely a whisper. A barista called out an order, breaking the spell. Anthony reluctantly released her hand. Tell me something, Evelyn said. Something true. What do you want to know? What you really do. Security and investments is pretty vague. Anthony had prepared careful half-truths. But looking into her honest eyes, he wanted to give her something real. I run a family business. We handle security consulting, manage investments, and facilitate certain business arrangements. That sounds official and tells me nothing. Evelyn smiled. Come on, Anthony. I trusted you with my desperation. You can trust me with the truth. The truth is complicated. I'm studying medicine. I can handle complicated. The cafe door burst open. Marcus Romano walked in with 2 friends, loud and obnoxious. He spotted Evelyn immediately, his face lighting with malicious glee. Well, if it isn't Carter. Marcus swaggered over. Slumming with paying customers now? Oh wait, you can't work here. I fired your ass. Evelyn's face flushed. Walk away, Marcus. Or what? You'll lecture me again? He turned to Anthony. Word of advice, man. This one's a charity case. Anthony stood up. The movement was fluid, controlled, but something in it made Marcus step back instinctively. You need to leave. Anthony's voice was quiet but carried an edge that silenced the cafe. Now, who the hell are you? Someone you don't want to know. Anthony took one step forward and Marcus flinched. Call your Uncle Vincent, ask him about the Russo family, then apologize to the lady and get out of my sight. Color drained from Marcus's face. His hand trembled as he pulled out his phone, stepped away, made a quick call. Whatever he heard made him go white. I'm sorry, Mr. Russo. I didn't know she was... Marcus backed toward the door. Please tell Mr. Russo I meant no disrespect. I am Mr. Russo. Anthony's voice could have frozen blood. And you just disrespected someone I care about. Marcus practically ran out, his friends scrambling after him. The silence was deafening. Evelyn stared at Anthony. The gentleman who'd held her hand had transformed into something that made Marcus flee like a scared child. Who are you? She whispered. Anthony sat back down. I told you, I run a family business. What kind makes someone that scared? The kind that takes security very seriously. Evelyn's mind raced. The expensive suit, the way people looked at him, Marcus's terror at the name Russo. You're not just in security, are you? Evelyn, tell me the truth, please. Anthony looked at her for a long moment. Then he made a decision that would change everything. My family has connections in Chicago. We provide protection, resolve disputes, manage interests that sometimes operate in gray areas. Gray areas. Evelyn's voice was flat. You mean illegal? I mean complicated. We help people when the system fails them. Like a mob? Like a family that takes care of its own. Evelyn should have been horrified. Instead, she thought about Marcus's cruelty, about Anthony's defense without hesitation, about the kindness in his texts. Did you kill anyone? She asked quietly. Anthony's jaw tightened. Would you believe me if I said no? I don't know. Would you lie to me? I don't want to. That's not an answer. It's the only one I can give right now. Anthony leaned forward. I'm not a good man, Evelyn, but I've never hurt anyone innocent. That's my line. Evelyn studied his face, searching for deception. Instead, she saw brutal honesty and fear that she'd reject him. I should leave, she said finally. This is crazy. Dangerous, I know. I was going to say confusing. Evelyn picked up her purse. I need to think. Anthony nodded. They faced each other across 3 feet that felt like miles. Thank you for being honest, Evelyn said. Evelyn, wait. Anthony's hand reached out, then dropped. I meant everything in my texts, every word. That was real. Was it? Or was I talking to a version of you that doesn't exist? You were talking to the man I want to be, the man you make me want to be. Evelyn's eyes filled with tears. That's not fair. I know. She walked to the door, then paused. Don't text me. I need time. He nodded once. She left. Anthony sat at the empty table, staring at untouched coffee. He'd known this would happen. Known she'd discover the truth and run. What he hadn't expected was how much it would hurt. His phone buzzed. Marco. Everything okay? Anthony typed back. Define okay. He'd shown her the monster, and she'd walked away. So why did it feel like he'd just lost something irreplaceable? Evelyn didn't text him for 5 days. 5 days that felt like 5 years to Anthony, who found himself checking his phone compulsively during meetings, at dinner, in the middle of the night when sleep wouldn't come. Marco noticed. Boss, you're distracted. The Moretti situation needs your full attention. I'm handling it, Anthony snapped, then immediately regretted his tone. What do you need? A decision. Do we hit back now or wait? We wait. Let them think they're winning, then we cut off their supply lines. Maximum impact, minimal exposure. Marco nodded but paused at the door. Boss, whoever she is, she's making you soft. That's dangerous. Noted. Alone again, Anthony picked up his phone. Still nothing. He'd promised not to text first, and he wouldn't break that promise. even if the silence was killing him. 3 miles away, Evelyn lay in bed, staring at her phone, rereading their conversation history. "You were talking to the man I want to be." Those words haunted her. Despite everything, the danger, the violence implied in that cafe confrontation, she couldn't stop thinking about him. Maya knocked on her door. "You've been weird all week. What's going on?" "Nothing." Liar. Did something happen with the mysterious benefactor? Evelyn had told her sister about Anthony, leaving out the part about his family business. "We met. It was complicated." "Complicated how?" "Just not who I expected." Maya sat on the bed. "Good or bad?" "Both. Neither. I don't know." Evelyn turned to face her sister. "What if someone was perfect for you, except for one really big thing?" "How big?" "Like potential criminal enterprise big." Maya's eyes widened. "Wait, is your guardian angel in the mob?" "I didn't say that." "You didn't deny it either. Are you seriously considering dating a mobster?" "I'm not considering anything. I told him I needed time." "And? What are you thinking?" Evelyn stared at the ceiling. "I'm thinking he defended me without hesitation. I'm thinking he's been nothing but kind and honest. I'm thinking the way he looked at me made me feel more seen than anyone ever has. And I'm thinking I'm an idiot." "Or you're human," Maya said quietly. "Maybe it's okay to want something for yourself, even if it's complicated." After Maya left, Evelyn picked up her phone. Her fingers hovered over Anthony's contact before she typed, "I've been thinking. Can we talk?" The response came in seconds. "When and where?" "There's an observatory outside the city. Starlight Hills. Public viewing tonight. Meet me at 8. I'll be there." Anthony arrived at 7:30. The observatory sat on a hill overlooking the city, far enough from light pollution to see actual stars. Romantic and public, a smart choice for someone still deciding if he was dangerous. He found her on the observation deck, wrapped in a jacket against the October chill, staring up at the sky. "My grandmother taught me constellations," Evelyn said without turning. "She said the stars were constant. No matter what happened down here, they'd always be there, unchanged." Anthony moved beside her, maintaining distance. "Sounds like she was wise." "She was. She also said sometimes the scariest choices lead to the most beautiful places." Evelyn looked at him. "I've been trying to figure out which kind of choice you are." "And?" "I don't know yet. So I have questions and I need honest answers." "I'll try." "Have you killed people?" Anthony's jaw tightened. "Yes." Evelyn flinched but held his gaze. "Innocent people?" "Never. That's my line, Evelyn. The people who've died by my hand were threats, to my family, to innocent people, to the order we maintain. I'm not asking you to forgive it, but I've never hurt anyone who didn't deserve it." "Who decides who deserves it?" "Sometimes me, sometimes the situation. Sometimes there's no good choice, just less bad ones." Evelyn processed this. "Are you in danger, right now?" "Always. It comes with the territory." "Would being with you put me in danger?" Anthony wanted to lie. But he'd promised honesty. "Potentially, but I would protect you with everything I have. My enemies know that touching civilians means war. It's a line most won't cross." "Most, not all." "Not all," Anthony admitted. "Why me? You could have anyone. Why pursue someone who complicates your life?" Anthony moved closer. "Because you make me feel human. Because when I'm talking to you, I remember who I wanted to be. Because you see something good in me, and I want desperately for that version to be real." "That's not fair," Evelyn whispered. "You can't say things like that." "Why not?" "Because it makes me want to ignore every logical reason I should walk away." "Then walk away." Anthony's voice was rough. "I won't stop you, won't contact you. You'll be safe. That's what you should do, Evelyn. The smart thing." "And what do you want?" Anthony's control cracked. "I want you to give me a chance. I want to show you I can be the man you believed in. I want to take you on dates and learn everything about you. I want to make you laugh and support your dreams. But I can't promise safety or simplicity. All I can promise is that I will protect you with my life, and love you with everything I have. Evelyn's breath caught. Love? I'm falling in love with you, Evelyn Carter. Have been since that first text. I know it's fast and crazy, but I can't lie about it. Silence stretched. A shooting star streaked across the sky. One condition, she said finally. Anything. You don't lie to me. Ever. I don't need every detail of your business, but if I ask directly, you answer honestly, no matter how ugly. I can do that. And if things get dangerous, you tell me. You don't make decisions about my safety without me. Evelyn, those are my terms. Take them or leave them. He studied her face, saw determination beneath fear. She wasn't running. She was choosing him, eyes open. Deal. Evelyn closed the distance, and Anthony's arms came around her. She fit perfectly against his chest. I'm probably making a huge mistake, she murmured. Probably. But I can't walk away. Anthony tightened his hold. Thank God. Then Evelyn tilted her head back, and Anthony saw the invitation. Their first kiss was gentle, tentative, but when Evelyn's fingers tangled in his hair, gentle became desperate. Anthony's hands cupped her face, weeks of longing pouring into the connection. She tasted like mint and possibility, and he felt like he was falling. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Anthony rested his forehead against hers. Stay with me tonight, he whispered. Not like that. Just stay. Let me hold you under these stars. Okay. They found a bench, Evelyn curling into Anthony's side. They talked for hours about everything that made them who they were. As dawn approached, neither noticed the black sedan in the far parking lot. Inside, a man with a camera lowered his lens and dialed. Got him. Anthony Russo with an unknown female. Want me to follow? The voice was cold. Get me everything on her. Name, address, family, everything. The Morettis will pay well for leverage. The line went dead. Evelyn's world had just become infinitely more dangerous. 3 weeks into their relationship, Evelyn started noticing things that didn't add up. Anthony's business meetings happened at 2 in the morning. His driver, a man named Vincent with cold eyes and a gun bulge under his jacket, watched her like she was a threat assessment rather than a girlfriend. The way restaurant owners rushed to give them the best table, refusing payment. The deference people showed him that went beyond respect into something closer to fear. She tried to ignore it, tried to focus on the Anthony she knew, the man who brought her coffee during late-night study sessions, who listened to her talk about medical cases with genuine interest, who held her like she was something precious. But the inconsistencies were becoming impossible to overlook. Where were you last night? Evelyn asked one morning as Anthony drove her to class. You texted at 3 a.m. saying you'd be late. Handling a business issue. Shipping problem with one of our overseas suppliers. What do you ship? Anthony's hands tightened on the steering wheel. Security equipment mostly. Surveillance systems, that kind of thing. At 3 a.m.? Different time zones. It sounded reasonable, but something in his voice told Evelyn he was lying. That afternoon between classes, a woman approached her in the medical school hallway. Mid-30s, sharp suit, credentials hanging from her neck identifying her as Detective Sarah Chen, Chicago PD. Evelyn Carter? Yes. I'm Detective Chen. I was hoping we could talk about Anthony Russo. Evelyn's stomach dropped. I don't know what you're talking about. We have photos of you together. Multiple dates over the past 3 weeks. Chen pulled out a folder, showed Evelyn pictures of them at dinner, walking hand in hand, kissing goodnight outside her apartment. You seem like a nice girl. Smart, dedicated, good family. So I'm wondering what you're doing with a man like Anthony Russo. A man like what? A crime boss. The Russo family runs drugs, weapons, protection rackets across the South Side. Anthony's father built the empire, and when he died 5 years ago, Anthony took over. Made it twice as profitable and 3 times as ruthless. Evelyn felt like the ground was shifting beneath her feet. That's not... He said he does security consulting. Is that what he calls it? Chen's voice softened. Ms. Carter, I'm not trying to ruin your life, but you need to understand what you're involved with. Anthony Russo is under federal investigation. RICO charges are being built. Anyone close to him becomes part of that investigation. Are you threatening me? I'm warning you. Walk away now before you get caught in the crossfire. Because make no mistake, there will be crossfire. The Russo family has enemies, and those enemies won't care that you're innocent. After Chen left, Evelyn sat in an empty classroom, hands shaking. She pulled out her phone, stared at Anthony's contact. Part of her wanted to call him immediately, demand the truth. Another part was terrified of what that truth might be. Her phone buzzed. Anthony. Dinner tonight. There's something I want to show you. Evelyn typed back. We need to talk. That sounds ominous. Everything okay? I don't know. Is it? A long pause. Then, I'll pick you up at 7. We'll talk about whatever you need. Anthony knew something was wrong the moment Evelyn got in the car. Her smile was forced, her body language closed off. She sat as far from him as the passenger seat allowed. What happened? He asked, not starting the car. A detective came to see me today, Detective Chen. She showed me pictures of us together and told me you're a crime boss under federal investigation. Anthony's jaw tightened. Fuck. So it's true? Everything she said? Evelyn, just answer the question, Anthony. Are you under federal investigation? Yes. Evelyn closed her eyes. What else did you lie about? The security consulting? The business meetings? All of it? I didn't lie. I just didn't tell you everything. That's the same thing. Evelyn's voice rose. You let me believe you were some kind of legitimate businessman when really you're, what, running drugs? Selling weapons? It's more complicated than that. Then uncomplicated for me. Right now. Tell me exactly what you do. Anthony stared out the windshield, weighing his options. He could lie, minimize, protect her from the full truth, but he'd promised honesty. My family controls territory on the south side. We run protection services for businesses that can't rely on police. We facilitate transactions for goods that are heavily regulated or illegal. We settle disputes when the legal system fails. Yes, some of what we do involves drugs and weapons, but we also protect neighborhoods from worse elements, keep violence contained, make sure innocent people aren't caught in crossfire. You're justifying it. I'm explaining it. You asked for truth, Evelyn. This is it. I'm not a good guy. I've never claimed to be, but I operate by rules. No civilians, no kids, no unnecessary violence. Everything I do has a purpose. And the federal investigation? They've been trying to build a RICO case for 3 years. They have nothing solid, just surveillance and circumstantial evidence. It's background noise. Evelyn laughed bitterly. Background noise. My career could be destroyed just by association, and you call it background noise. I won't let that happen. You can't promise that. You can't control everything, Anthony, no matter how powerful you think you are. Then what do you want me to do? Anthony's voice rose. Walk away? Disappear from your life? Is that what you want? I want you to be honest. I want to know who I'm really dating. You're dating exactly who you think you are. The man who texts you good night every night, who brings you coffee, who listens to your dreams. That's real, Evelyn, all of it. But it's not all of you. No, Anthony admitted quietly. It's not. Evelyn wiped tears from her face. Take me home. Evelyn, please. I need to think. The drive back to her apartment was silent. When Anthony pulled up to the curb, Evelyn reached for the door handle, then paused. That detective said you have enemies, that I could get caught in crossfire. Is that true? Anthony's silence was answer enough. I need space, Evelyn said. I need to figure out if I can live with this. How much space? I don't know, just don't contact me for a while. Let me process. She got out before Anthony could respond. He watched her walk into her building, every instinct screaming at him to follow, to fix this, to make her understand. But he'd learned long ago that some things couldn't be fixed with force. His phone rang. Marco. We have a problem. What now? The Morettis hit one of our collections tonight. 3 of our guys are dead, and they took 200 grand. Anthony's grief transformed instantly to cold rage. Where? Southside Warehouse District. Boss, they left a message. They know about the girl. Every muscle in Anthony's body went rigid. What? They left a photo. Her walking to class today. Message says they know about Evelyn Carter and they're coming for what you care about. Anthony's hands shook on the steering wheel. Lock down the family, increase security on all our people, and get men on Evelyn's apartment now. Already done. Vincent's team is in position. I'm going to the warehouse. Tell the Morettis if they so much as look at her wrong, I'll burn their entire operation to the ground. Anthony ended the call and stared at Evelyn's building. She wanted space. She wanted time to think. But time was a luxury they no longer had, because his enemies knew about her now, and in his world, that meant she was already a target. Evelyn couldn't sleep. She lay in bed staring at the ceiling, her mind replaying the conversation with Anthony, with Detective Chen, trying to reconcile the two versions of the man she'd fallen for. At 2:30 a.m., her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Miss Carter, you don't know me, but I know you. I know you live at 847 Morrison Street, apartment 3B. I know your sister Maya goes to Lincoln High. I know your father drives for Summit Delivery Services. I know everything about you. And I want you to know that Anthony Russo can't protect you from what's coming. Evelyn sat bolt upright, heart hammering. Before she could process, another message arrived. A photo. Evelyn walking to class that afternoon, a red circle drawn around her head like a target. Her hands shook as she dialed Anthony. He answered on the first ring. Evelyn, what's wrong? Someone just texted me, threatened me. They know where I live, where my family. Her voice broke. I'm already outside. Don't hang up. I'm coming to you right now. You're here? Why are you? I'll explain. Just stay on the phone with me. 30 seconds later, there was a knock at her door. Evelyn looked through the peephole and saw Anthony, phone to his ear, his expression carved from stone. She opened the door, and Anthony was inside immediately, checking the locks, the windows, speaking rapidly into his phone to someone else. Sweep the building. I want eyes on every entrance. No one gets close. He finally hung up and turned to Evelyn. Show me the messages. She handed him her phone with trembling hands. Anthony's jaw tightened as he read, his eyes going dangerously dark. This is the Moretti family. They're trying to get to me through you. What? Why? Because they know you matter to me. Because in my world, that makes you leverage. Anthony's hands clenched into fists. I'm sorry, Evelyn. I'm so fucking sorry. I should have been more careful. I should have protected you better. Protected me from what? What's happening? Anthony pulled her to the couch, keeping himself between her and the windows. The Morettis are a rival family. We've been in a cold war for years, but tonight they escalated. Killed 3 of my men and sent this message to tell me they know about you. Oh my God! Evelyn felt like she couldn't breathe. My family? Already protected. I have men outside your parents' house and your sister's school. No one touches them. I promise you that. You promised me honesty too, and look where that got us. Anthony flinched like she'd slapped him. You're right. I should have told you everything from the start. Should have warned you what being with me meant. But Evelyn, I can't change that now. Right now, I need to keep you safe. By doing what? Starting a war? If that's what it takes. Evelyn stood, pacing the small living room. This is insane. I'm a medical student. I save lives. I don't get threatening texts from mobsters. I know, and I hate that my world has touched yours, but it has, and now we have to deal with it. We? There is no we, Anthony. I asked for space to think about whether I can even be with you, and now you're telling me I'm a target for violence? Which is why you need to let me protect you. I need to not need protection. Evelyn's voice rose. I need to live my life without looking over my shoulder for men with guns. Anthony stood slowly. I can make this go away. Let me handle the Morettis. Send a message so strong they'll never think about touching you again. Then you can decide about us. But right now, your safety is the only thing that matters. And how will you send this message? More killing? More violence? If necessary. You say that so easily, like people's lives are just... The people I kill aren't innocent, Evelyn. They're men who chose this life, who know the rules. The Morettis came after you, a civilian, someone with no part in this world. That breaks every code we have. They need to understand that has consequences. Evelyn sank back onto the couch, head in her hands. I can't think right now. I'm terrified and angry, and I don't know what to do. Anthony knelt in front of her, careful not to touch, but close enough that she could feel his presence. Stay at my place tonight. It's secure, protected. In the morning, we'll figure out next steps. But please, let me keep you safe. I don't want to need you to keep me safe. I know, but right now, you do. The truth of it was crushing. Evelyn looked at Anthony's face, saw genuine fear there, not for himself, but for her. Despite everything, despite the lies and the danger and the impossible situation, she could see he cared about her. Okay, she whispered. Tonight. But Anthony, after this is over, we need to have a serious conversation about whether this can work. I know. Anthony's penthouse was on the 42nd floor of a building downtown, all floor-to-ceiling windows and expensive furniture that looked barely used. Security cameras covered every angle. 2 armed men stood guard in the hallway. You live like this all the time? Evelyn asked, looking around. Usually I don't notice it. Tonight I'm grateful for it. He showed her to a guest room, made sure she had everything she needed. At the door, he paused. For what it's worth, you were right. About all of it. I should have been honest from the start. Should have given you the choice before you got in this deep. Why weren't you? Because I'm selfish. Because I wanted you in my life and I was afraid the truth would drive you away. It might still. I know. Anthony's voice was rough. But at least you'll be alive to make that choice. That's all that matters to me now. After he left, Evelyn sat on the edge of the bed, her phone in her hands. She opened her messages, saw the threatening text again, felt her stomach turn. This was her life now. Threats and guards and looking over her shoulder. All because she'd accidentally texted the wrong number. Or maybe because she'd chosen to stay after learning the truth. Either way, she was in it now. And she had no idea how to get out. In the living room, Anthony was on the phone with Marco. I want the Moretti Social Club hit tonight. Not their soldiers, their leadership. I want Vincent Moretti to know that touching her was the last mistake he'll ever make. Boss, that's going to start a full war. Then we go to war. But they learn that Evelyn Carter is untouchable. Spread the word to every family in Chicago. Anyone who looks at her wrong answers to me personally. Understood. What about the girl? She staying? For tonight. After that. Anthony looked toward the guest room. After that, it's her choice. It has to be. And if she chooses to leave, then I let her go, and I make sure she's protected for the rest of her life, even if it's from a distance. Anthony ended the call and poured himself a drink he wouldn't finish. Because somewhere in his heavily fortified penthouse was a woman who'd stumbled into his world by accident and might not survive the consequences. And if anything happened to her, it would destroy the last good part of him that remained. Evelyn woke to voices in the other room. Angry, urgent voices. She checked her phone, 6 a.m. She'd barely slept 3 hours. Pulling on the robe Anthony had left for her, she crept to the door and listened. 3 dead, boss. They hit back hard. Burned down our warehouse on 5th Street and left another message. Marco's voice was tense. What message? They took one of our guys. Left a ransom note. They want to meet. You for him. Tonight at midnight. The old meatpacking district. It's a trap. Obviously. But they have Tommy. He's got a wife. 2 kids. I know who he has. Anthony snapped. Set it up. But I go in heavy. Full team. Complete tactical. They said you come alone or Tommy dies. They're going to kill him anyway. At least this way we have a chance. Evelyn couldn't stay quiet anymore. She opened the door. You're walking into a trap? Both men turned. Marco looked uncomfortable. Anthony's expression was unreadable. I'll handle this. Marco, get everything ready. After Marco left, Anthony moved toward Evelyn. You should go back to bed. You're going to get yourself killed. I'm going to save one of my men. By trading yourself? That's suicide, Anthony. It's what's necessary. His voice was flat, emotionless, the voice of someone who'd already made peace with his decision. Tommy has a family, kids who need their father. And what about me? Did you think about that? Anthony's mask cracked. You're all I've thought about. Why do you think I'm doing this? The Morettis wanted war because of you. This ends tonight one way or another. Either I eliminate the threat or you die trying. That's your plan. If that's what it takes to keep you safe. Evelyn felt tears burning. You don't get to do that. You don't get to play martyr and pretend it's for me. Then what do you want me to do? Let them keep coming? Let them threaten your family? Eventually, they'll stop making threats and start taking action. I won't risk that. So you'll risk yourself instead? My life for yours? That's not even a question, Evelyn. She crossed the room and grabbed his arms. Listen to me. I know I said I needed space. I know I'm angry about the lies. But I don't want you dead, Anthony. I don't want to be the reason you... Her voice broke. Anthony pulled her into his arms. You're not the reason. They are. The Morettis broke the rules. They threatened a civilian. This was always going to end in blood. You just gave me something worth surviving for. Then survive. Don't trade yourself for... I have to. You don't understand how this works. If I let them take one of my men without response, I look weak. If I look weak, every family in Chicago will think they can move on my territory, threaten my people. This isn't just about Tommy or even about you. It's about maintaining order. Evelyn pulled back to look at him. You really believe that? I have to. She studied his face, saw the resignation there, the grim acceptance. This was the man Detective Chen warned her about, the crime boss who calculated lives like chess pieces. But it was also the man who'd texted her encouragement during exams, who brought her coffee at 2 a.m., who'd fallen in love with her through accidental messages. I'm coming with you, she said. Absolutely not. You need leverage, something to make them hesitate. If I'm there, if you're there, they have exactly what they want. No, Evelyn. You stay here where it's safe. Safe? There's no safe anymore, Anthony. They already know about me. They've already made me a target. At least if I'm there, I can... You can what? Watch me die? Watch them take you? No. Anthony's voice turned hard. This is not negotiable. Marco will stay with you. This entire building is locked down. You don't leave until I come back. And if you don't come back? Anthony cupped her face in his hands. Then Marco will make sure you're protected. Your family, too. I've already set up accounts, security details, everything you need. You'll be safe. I don't want your money or your guards. I want you alive. That's not your choice to make. The words hung between them like a slap. Evelyn stepped back, wrapping her arms around herself. So that's it? You make all the decisions about your life, about my safety, about everything? I don't get a say? Not in this, I'm sorry. No, you're not. You're doing exactly what you want, consequences be damned. You're just like... She stopped herself. Like what? Say it. Like every other man who's decided what's best for me without asking. My father working 3 jobs instead of letting me take a gap year. My professors telling me I'm too emotional for surgery. You deciding I need to be locked up here for my own good. I'm so tired of men making choices for me. Anthony's jaw tightened. This is different. Is it? Or are you just another man who thinks he knows better? I'm trying to keep you alive. By getting yourself killed. They stared at each other, both breathing hard, the weight of everything unsaid pressing down between them. Finally, Anthony spoke, his voice low. I need to get ready. We leave in 6 hours. Anthony, I'll come say goodbye before I go. He walked away, and Evelyn stood in the middle of his expensive penthouse, feeling more helpless than she'd ever felt in her life. The hours crawled by. Evelyn tried to study, to focus on anything except the clock ticking toward midnight. Marco brought her food she couldn't eat. The guards changed shifts with military precision. At 11:30, Anthony emerged from his room in all black, tactical pants, fitted shirt, shoulder holster visible. He looked like exactly what he was, a man going to war. "I need 5 minutes with her," he told Marco. "Alone." Marco nodded and stepped outside. Anthony approached Evelyn slowly, like she might bolt. "I know you're angry. I'm terrified. I'm sorry. For all of it. For dragging you into this world, for the lies, for leaving you here, for everything. But you're still going. I have to." Evelyn felt tears spill over. "I can't lose you. I know I'm angry. I know this is complicated. But I can't." She couldn't finish. Anthony closed the distance and kissed her. It was desperate, consuming, tasting like goodbye. His hands tangled in her hair, and she gripped his shirt like she could anchor him there, keep him from walking into the trap they both knew was waiting. When they broke apart, both were breathing hard. "If I don't come back," Anthony started. "Don't say that." "If I don't come back, remember that meeting you was the best thing that ever happened to me. You made me feel human again. You made me want to be better. That's worth everything. Anthony, please. I love you, Evelyn Carter. I've loved you since you accidentally texted me your heart, and I'll love you until my last breath." He kissed her forehead and was gone before she could respond. Evelyn stood frozen as the door closed, as she heard the elevator descend. As silence filled the penthouse like a grave, Marco came back in. "He'll be okay. Boss is the best at this." "At what? Getting himself killed to prove a point?" "At surviving. Trust me. I've seen him in worse situations." But Evelyn couldn't shake the feeling that this time was different. This time, Anthony had something to lose. And in his world, that was the most dangerous thing of all. She looked at the clock. 11:47 p.m. 13 minutes until midnight. 13 minutes until everything changed, and she was trapped here, helpless, waiting to find out if the man she loved would come back alive, or come back at all. The old meatpacking district was a graveyard of abandoned buildings and rusted machinery. Anthony arrived with Marco and 8 of his best men, all armed, all ready. The meat location was a warehouse at the center, strategic nightmare, multiple entry points, countless places for snipers. Vincent Moretti was already there, flanked by 20 men. Tommy knelt in the center of the space, bloodied but alive, hands bound behind his back. "Russo!" Vincent's voice echoed off the concrete. "Glad you could make it, though I see you didn't follow instructions about coming alone." "You didn't really expect me to," Anthony called back, his men fanning out to cover positions. "Let Tommy go. This is between you and me." "Is it? Because I thought this was about the pretty medical student you've been fucking. What's her name? Evelyn?" Anthony's blood turned to ice. "Leave her out of this." "Why? You brought her into our world, made her a player by putting your hands on her." Vincent smiled, and it was ugly. "Tell me, Russo, how far would you go to keep her safe? Because I'm thinking that's leverage worth exploring. You touch her, and I'll burn your entire family to ash. Every operation, every business, every person who carries the Moretti name. I'll hunt them across the country if I have to." Big threats from a man outnumbered 2-1. "Numbers don't matter when you're already dead." Vincent's smile faltered. "You think you're walking out of here?" "I think you've made a fatal mistake. You threatened someone under my protection. Someone innocent. That broke every code we operate by, and now every family in Chicago knows it. You think they'll back you after this? You've made yourself a liability, Vincent. I've made myself a legend. The man who brought down Anthony Russo." Anthony smiled, and it was cold as winter. "You really think this was about you? I let you make your moves, let you think you were winning. All so I could draw you out here, away from your protections, away from witnesses." He raised his hand. "Now." Red laser sights appeared on every Moretti soldier. From the catwalks above, from the shadows, from positions Anthony had secured hours before. 20 additional men materialized from the darkness, weapons trained. Vincent's face went white. This was a trap. You threatened the woman I love. Did you really think I'd leave anything to chance?" Anthony's voice dropped to something deadly. "Let Tommy go. Then you and I are going to have a conversation about respect." "Boss," one of Vincent's men started, but Vincent cut him off. "No, We have the numbers. The shot came from nowhere. Vincent jerked, a red bloom spreading across his shoulder. He fell, screaming, and chaos erupted. Anthony's men moved like a machine, efficient and brutal. Within 90 seconds, it was over. Vincent's soldiers were either dead, disabled, or running. Tommy was freed and being dragged to safety by Marco. Anthony walked through the carnage to where Vincent lay bleeding, surrounded by his own men's bodies. "You shot me," Vincent gasped. "You shot me!" "I shot your shoulder. Be grateful it wasn't your head." Anthony crouched down. "Here's what happens next. You're going to hospital, you're going to recover, and then you're going to retire from this business. Permanently. Your family's operations get absorbed into mine. Your territory, your people, everything. In exchange, you get to live." "Never." Anthony pressed his gun against Vincent's kneecap. "I can take that option away. Your choice. Retirement or disability. Pick fast." Okay, I retire. Just, please." "And the woman? Evelyn Carter?" "She's untouchable. I understand. She's off limits. Please." Anthony stood. "Get him medical attention. Then make sure every family in Chicago knows. Evelyn Carter is under Russo protection. Anyone who looks at her wrong answers to me. Spread the word." Marco approached, helping support Tommy. "Clean sweep, boss. 2 of theirs wounded. Rest fled. We didn't lose anyone." "Good. Get Tommy to the doctor, then home to his family." Anthony looked around at the warehouse, at the blood and bodies. This was his world. Violence and power and fear, and Evelyn wanted no part of it. He pulled out his phone, called her. She answered on the first ring. "Anthony, oh my God, are you—" "I'm fine. It's over. The Morettis won't bother you again. Are you hurt?" "Not a scratch. I'm coming home." Okay, I'm here, waiting." The relief in her voice made something in his chest ache. He'd survived, but at what cost? When Anthony walked into the penthouse 40 minutes later, Evelyn ran to him. She checked him over frantically, his face, his hands, his chest, looking for wounds. "I'm fine," he said softly. "I promise. There's blood on your shirt. Not mine." Evelyn stepped back, and Anthony saw the reality setting in. He'd gone to war tonight. Killed or ordered deaths. Come back wearing other people's blood. "How many?" she whispered. "Do you really want to know?" "Yes. 3 dead, Vincent Moretti and 2 others wounded. My side, no casualties." Evelyn sank onto the couch. "You killed 3 people tonight. I did what was necessary to protect you, to protect my people. And you'll have to keep doing it, won't you? This is your life. Violence and blood and constant war." Anthony sat beside her, careful not to touch. "Yes. I can't live like this, Anthony. I can't spend my life wondering if you'll come home alive. Can't be the reason people die. You're not the reason. I am. Vincent said it himself. This started because of me. It started because he's a greedy bastard who saw an opportunity. You were just the excuse. If it wasn't you, it would have been something else." Evelyn turned to face him, tears streaming. "I love you. God help me, I do. But I don't know if love is enough." Anthony felt his heart crack. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I need to finish medical school. I need to focus on my career, my family, my life, and I can't do that while looking over my shoulder for the next Vincent Moretti. There won't be another. I made sure of it tonight. You're protected. Permanently. Protected, like I'm property that needs guarding. That's not what I meant. I know what you meant. But Anthony, I don't want to be someone who needs protection. I want to be someone who saves lives, not someone whose existence costs them. 3 men died tonight who would have killed you without hesitation, who broke every code we have by targeting a civilian. I won't apologize for that. I'm not asking you to apologize. I'm asking if this is sustainable, if we can build a life together when your world is so different from mine." Anthony was quiet for a long moment. "I don't know. I want to say yes. I want to promise you that we can make it work. But I won't lie to you again, Evelyn. My world is violent. It's dangerous, and being with me means accepting that. Can you leave it? Your business, your empire? Can you walk away? And do what? Even if I tried, there are people who depend on me. Families I protect. Operations that would collapse without leadership. I can't just abandon them. So we're at an impasse. We don't have to be. Stay. Let me show you that my world isn't just violence, that there's good in what we do. The businesses we protect, the neighborhoods we keep safe. By threatening and killing people. By maintaining order when no one else will. Evelyn stood, wiping her eyes. I need time, real time, not a few days but months. I need to finish school, figure out my residency, get my life on track. And you need to figure out if you can give me what I need. Which is honesty, safety, a future that doesn't involve wondering if you'll come home in a body bag. Anthony stood too. I can give you honesty, safety, I'll do everything in my power. But the future? He gestured at himself, at the blood still on his clothes. This is who I am, Evelyn. I can't change that. I'm not asking you to change. I'm asking if there's room in your life for something besides violence and power. You're in my life. You're the only good thing in it. Then prove it. Not with grand gestures or protection details. Prove it by being the man I fell in love with through those text messages. The vulnerable, honest, real man. I'll try. That's all I'm asking. She moved toward the guest room and Anthony caught her hand. Don't go, please. Just sleep here tonight, in my arms. Let me hold you and pretend for a few hours that we're normal people with a normal relationship. Evelyn looked at their joined hands, at the man who'd killed for her tonight, who loved her enough to let her go if that's what she needed. Okay, tonight. They lay in his bed, Evelyn tucked against Anthony's chest, both pretending they couldn't feel the distance growing between them. Because love wasn't always enough. Sometimes it just made the impossible hurt more. 3 months passed in careful distance. Evelyn threw herself into medical school with fierce determination, finals and clinical rotations consuming every waking hour. Anthony respected her need for space, limiting contact to brief texts, nothing romantic, just checking in. Hope your exam went well, thinking of you. Stay safe. But he kept his promise in other ways. Her tuition for the final semester appeared paid in full. Her parents' mortgage mysteriously cleared. Maya received a full scholarship to film school with an anonymous donor. Evelyn knew it was him, but she didn't call to thank him. She wasn't ready. Detective Chen visited her once more. The Moretti investigation collapsed. Vincent Moretti suddenly retired, moved to Florida. The federal case against the Russo family lost its key witness and fell apart. Convenient timing. What do you want me to say? That you're being careful. That you understand Anthony Russo doesn't change, Evelyn. Men like him don't leave that world. They just pull you deeper into it. After Chen left, Evelyn sat in her apartment and finally let herself admit the truth. She missed him. Desperately. She missed his texts at 3 a.m. His terrible jokes, the way he listened when she talked about her cases. She missed feeling protected and cherished and understood. She missed being in love. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. The observatory. Tonight at 8. If you want answers, come alone. Evelyn's blood ran cold. This felt like a threat, like Vincent all over again, but something made her grab her keys anyway. The observatory parking lot was empty except for one car, Anthony's Mercedes. He stood by the telescope where they'd first kissed, wearing jeans and a simple sweater, no suit, no armor of power. Did you send that text? Evelyn asked, approaching cautiously. No, but I had Marco send it because I knew you wouldn't come if I asked directly. Anthony turned to face her. 3 months, Evelyn. You asked for time and I gave it. But I can't do this anymore. I need to know if there's any chance for us. You lied to get me here. I did what I had to. Story of my life. He smiled sadly. You wanted honesty? Here's honesty. These 3 months have been hell. I wake up reaching for you. I see something funny and want to text you. I handle business, and all I can think about is whether you'd be proud or disgusted. You asked me to prove I could be the man from those messages. But Evelyn, that man only exists because of you. That's not fair. Let me finish. Please. Anthony stepped closer. I've been making changes. Real changes. I've started divesting from the drug operations, moving money into legitimate businesses, security consulting that's actually legal, real estate development, technology investments. It'll take years to fully transition, but I'm doing it. Evelyn's eyes widened. Why? Because you were right, about all of it. I was using maintaining order as an excuse to stay in a world I knew. But the truth is, I was scared. Scared that without the power and violence, I'd be nobody. That I'd have nothing to offer someone like you. Anthony, I'm not finished. I also started therapy. Actual therapy, not just paying someone to tell me I'm fine. Dealing with my father's abuse, the violence I've seen and caused, all of it. Because I want to be better. Not for the business or the family. For you. For us. Tears streamed down Evelyn's face. You're in therapy? Twice a week. Marco thinks I've lost my mind. But I need to understand why violence is my default. How to break patterns I've had my entire life. I want to be the man who deserves you, Evelyn. The man who can give you the life you need. What about your empire? Your responsibilities? I'm transitioning leadership to Marco. Gradually so it doesn't destabilize operations. But in 2 years, I'll be completely out of the illegal side. Just a businessman with a complicated past and a desperate hope for a better future. Evelyn couldn't believe what she was hearing. You'd give up everything you built? It's not everything. It's just power and money and fear. You're everything. Your laugh, your dreams, the way you see good in broken things. That's what matters. That's what I want to build my life around. But what if it's not enough? What if you resent me later for making you change? Anthony closed the distance between them, cupping her face gently. You didn't make me change. You made me want to. There's a difference. And I could never resent you for giving me a reason to be better. I'm scared, Evelyn whispered. Scared of getting hurt. Scared of losing you to violence. Scared of not being enough for the man you really are. You're scared. I'm terrified. Terrified you'll realize you can do better. That some doctor with clean hands and a normal life will give you what I can't. But I'm asking anyway, because 3 months without you taught me something. I'd rather have 1 day with you than a lifetime of safety without you. That's the most romantic and stupid thing I've ever heard. Anthony laughed, the sound raw and real. I'm a work in progress. Evelyn stood on her tiptoes and kissed him. Soft at first, tentative, like testing whether they still fit. Then deeper, weeks of longing pouring out. Anthony's arms came around her, and suddenly 3 months of distance evaporated. When they broke apart, both breathless, Evelyn rested her forehead against his. I have conditions. Anything. Complete honesty. About your business, your past, everything. No more convenient omissions. Done. And I need to meet your therapist. I want to see you're serious about this. I'll set it up tomorrow. And, Evelyn's voice cracked. And you have to promise that if things get dangerous again, you'll let me in. No more protecting me by keeping me in the dark. That's the hardest one. Every instinct I have screams to keep you safe by keeping you separate. I know. But I need to be your partner, Anthony. Not your possession to protect. He studied her face, then nodded. Okay. Full partnership. Even when it scares me. Especially when it scares you. God, I love you. Anthony pulled her close again. I love your strength and your stubbornness and the way you refuse to let me hide. I love that you challenge me and see through my bullshit. I love you so much it physically hurts. I love you too. Even though you're complicated and dangerous and make me question every rational thought I've ever had. So where does this leave us? Evelyn pulled back to look at him. Take me home. Your home. And tomorrow we start figuring out what our future looks like. Together. 6 months later, Evelyn walked across the stage to receive her medical degree. Dr. Evelyn Carter, finishing top of her class with a specialization in emergency medicine. Her family cheered from the front row, and beside them, in an expensive but understated suit, Anthony Russo applauded like she'd just cured cancer. After the ceremony, he took her to the same cafe where they'd first met in person. Same table by the window. "I have something for you," Anthony said, pulling out a small box. Evelyn's heart stopped. "Anthony, it's not what you think. Open it." Inside was a key on a simple chain. "What's this?" "A key to the medical clinic I just finished building in Inglewood. Fully equipped, staffed, and endowed to provide free care to underserved communities. It's yours to run however you want. Your vision, your rules." Evelyn stared at the key, then at Anthony. "You built a clinic? You said you wanted to help people who can't afford care." "I said I wanted to turn blood money into something good. This seemed like a good start." "This is..." Evelyn couldn't find words. "This is incredible. There's more. I've established the Carter Foundation for Medical Innovation, with you as director. It'll fund research and development of affordable medical technologies. Everything you dreamed about, we can make it happen." "We?" Anthony took her hand. "I know we agreed to take things slow, to rebuild trust, and see if we can make this work. But Evelyn, I don't want slow anymore. I want forever. I want to wake up next to you every morning and fall asleep holding you every night. I want to build something beautiful together. Not just businesses or foundations, but a life." He slid off his chair and knelt beside the table, pulling out a second box. This one held a ring, a simple diamond on a platinum band, elegant and understated. "Evelyn Carter, will you marry me? Will you take a chance on a reformed criminal with a complicated past and an overwhelming love for you? Will you let me spend the rest of my life proving that people can change when they have the right reason?" Evelyn was crying, laughing, her heart so full she thought it might burst. "Yes, yes, you ridiculous, wonderful man. Yes." Anthony slipped the ring on her finger, then stood and pulled her into a kiss that made the other cafe patrons applaud. When they broke apart, both grinning like idiots, Evelyn touched his face. "You know this won't be easy, right? I'm going to challenge you and drive you crazy and probably make you regret this proposal. I'm counting on it. And I'm going to hold you to every promise. The therapy, the business changes, all of it. Good. I need you to. And when we have kids, when?" Anthony's eyes lit up. "Eventually, when we're ready, they're going to know everything. The truth about your past, about how we met, all of it. No secrets. Deal. As long as I get to be there when you tell them their mother was stubborn enough to fall in love with a mobster. Former mobster. Working on it." They left the cafe hand in hand. Two people from completely different worlds who'd found each other by accident and chosen each other on purpose. The road ahead wouldn't be easy. Anthony still had connections to sever, demons to face, a past that would always shadow him. Evelyn would have moments of doubt, nights when fear crept in, times when she questioned if love was enough. But they'd face it together, as partners, as equals, as two broken people who'd found healing in each other's arms. 6 months later, they married at the observatory under the stars. Small ceremony, just family and close friends. Marco stood as best man, looking uncomfortable in a tux. Maya cried through the entire ceremony. William Carter walked his daughter down the aisle and shook Anthony's hand, whispering something that made Anthony's eyes shine with tears. And when they exchanged vows, Anthony promising to be worthy of her faith, Evelyn promising to never stop challenging him to be better, there wasn't a dry eye in the place. Their first dance was to a song about second chances and new beginnings. And as Anthony held his wife close, breathing in her scent, feeling her heartbeat against his chest, he thought about that night 3 years ago, when a desperate text had appeared on his phone. A wrong number that had been so perfectly right. A mistake that had led to the greatest love of his life. "What are you thinking about?" Evelyn murmured against his neck. "That I'd live my entire life over exactly the same way if it meant ending up here with you. Even the violent parts? Even those. They led me to you. That's twisted. I'm a work in progress, remember?" Evelyn laughed, and Anthony spun her around the dance floor, both of them glowing with happiness. They'd built paradise from ashes, forged forever from fire and blood and desperate love, and it was beautiful. If you enjoy stories like this, take a moment to subscribe to the channel. That's how I'll know you truly liked it. Even if you're watching on your TV, grab a second to join this family of fans who love emotional and heartfelt stories. Your support means everything, and it helps us bring you even more tales like this one.